Imagine this. It's a quiet Sunday evening, October 30th, 1938. Families across America are gathered around their radios, listening to dance music. Suddenly, the music stops. A voice cuts in. Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program, to bring you a special bulletin, Quotes, this wasn't just another news update. This was the night that a radio play convinced thousands of people that the world was ending. The mastermind was Orson Welles, a 23-year-old theatrical genius. For his Halloween Eve broadcast, he decided to adapt H.G. Wells' novel, Asterisk, The War of the Worlds Asterisk, but he wouldn't just read it. He would stage it as a series of breaking news alerts. It would feel urgent, immediate, and terrifyingly real. Just like the news bulletins that constantly interrupted programs with updates about the growing threat of war in Europe, Wells thought it would be thrilling. He had no idea just how right he was. Now, the show Asterisk did have announcements that it was a fictional dramatization. Bat, Bake, 10 people, often channel surfed during commercials or after their favorite shows ended. Many tuned in late, right as the bulletin started hitting the airwaves. They missed the disclaimer and heard what they thought was the beginning of the end. It started subtly at 8:12 p.m. An announcer with a calm but concerned voice reported that an observatory in Chicago had spotted several explosions of incandescent gas on the planet Mars. People leaned in closer. Mars. Explosions. The music came back on, a reassuring melody. But minutes later, another interruption. This time, 3 explosions were reported. In a small town in Washington, a man stood up, walked to his closet, and took out his hunting rifle. When his wife asked what he was doing, he simply said, "Getting ready. If Martians are coming, they'll come here too." By 8:20 p.m., a reporter named Carl Phillips was on the scene at a farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. His voice was breathless. He described a strange cylinder that had crashed from the sky. Police were on site. A crowd was gathering. Then, his voice filled with shock. "The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow." In Newark, New Jersey, a woman named Sarah clutched her rosary beads, whispering prayers. Her husband paced, wanting to flee. "Maybe we should go to your sisters in Pennsylvania," he said. Her reply was terrified. "And lead the Martians." "Right to her. We stay. We pray." Just 5 minutes later, the reporter's voice returned, now sharp with panic. He described something crawling out of the cylinder. 2 luminous discs. R.T.I.eyes. It might be a face. Then, the description became a nightmare. "Something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. It's large as a bear, and it glistens like wet leather. But that face, the eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped, with saliva dripping from its rimless lips." The terror was no longer contained to the radio. In Queens, New York, an entire apartment building emptied into the streets. People grabbed whatever they could: suitcases, children, photo albums. A 73-year-old woman named Josephine Sullivan refused to leave her canary behind, sobbing, "I won't abandon another living thing to those monsters." At 8:30 p.m., the broadcast descended into chaos. The reporter screamed as a heat ray erupted from the alien machine. It leaps right at the advancing men. "Good Lord, they're turning into flame." Then, static, followed by the sound of crackling fire. The reporter's final words were, "It's coming this way, about 20 yards to my right. ... The scream was cut short. Dead air. In Chicago, a man loaded his family into their car and just drove west. Dinner still warm on their table. In Boston, college students armed themselves with baseball bats and kitchen knives, ready to defend their dorm. A new, official-sounding voice came on the air, announcing that the object was not a meteorite. It confirmed that an entire military unit had been annihilated. He said the Martians were now advancing on New York City in 100-foot-tall tripod machines. He claimed the situation was under control, but nobody believed it, especially when the next bulletin reported another military unit destroyed by poisonous black smoke 3,000 miles away in San Francisco. Phone lines jammed. People were demanding weapons from the National Guard. Highways out of major cities were clogged with fleeing cars. The panic was spreading like a virus, passed from person to person over the phone, each retelling more warped than the last. The Martians are in Chicago. No, Los Angeles. They're not Martians, they're Germans. At 8:42 p.m., an announcer reported from a rooftop in New York City. You could hear bells ringing in the background. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate. The Martian cylinders are folding all around the city. People in the streets are running, dropping like rats. Static, then a final, horrifying broadcast from Times Square at 8:50. A shaky voice described the tripod sweeping the crowds with heat rays. It's only 100 yards away, 50 feet, ... Double quotes, the voice started coughing, choked out the word Martians, and then silence. Just the hum of an empty frequency. A thought, moment, CBS finally cut in, reminding listeners that it was all just a play. But it was too late. Police stations and hospitals were overwhelmed. Orson Welles held a press conference the next day, genuinely stunned. "I had no idea," he said. "We thought people would know it was fiction. So why did so many people believe it?" Psychologists say the world was already on edge in 1938. War felt imminent, and radio was a trusted source of news. The broadcast was just so masterfully done. It mirrored how a real catastrophe would unfold. But maybe the real reason is simpler and more disturbing. In a world where the impossible was happening every day, a Martian invasion didn't seem so far-fetched. This broadcast became a landmark moment in media history, proving how easily the line between fact and fiction can be blurred. In fact, the panic has been repeated. Similar broadcasts caused hysteria in Chile, Ecuador, Portugal, and even Russia. Decades later, it seems we never quite learned the lesson. We're all just one convincing story away from panic. Even today, listening to a recording, knowing it's fake, a small part of your brain starts to wonder, what if? What if it were real this time? The Martians never came, but the story of that night serves as a chilling reminder. We're still listening to the static, still wondering about that noise outside, still just one broadcast away from believing the end is here. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most incredible moments. See you next time.